Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Esther Foley. I am a local real estate professional in the Tulsa metro area. I'm glad you've decided to check out this video. Today we are going to talk about appraisals. I tell people all the time that we can have 3 different appraisers out to a house and get 3 different opinions of price and 3 different opinions of condition. Appraisers do have guidelines to follow, but at the end of the day, there is a certain aspect of personal opinion that is involved. So let's say that as a seller, you have a house listed and you're up here with purchase price and the appraisal has come in low. You essentially have 3 options to try to come to terms with the buyer. You can reduce the purchase price to what the appraised value is. The buyer can bring extra money to the table, or you can meet somewhere in between. I've done all 3, and it really depends on the unique and individual circumstances of each case. One thing to note is that I do always encourage sellers to keep their home show ready at all times. When that appraiser walks through the door, they are seeing the house for the very first time. They haven't ever been there before. They don't know what it's like. It's your opportunity to set the stage for them, for it to be clean, for it to be picked up, not to have clutter everywhere. Believe it or not, it can make a big difference on their overall opinion, especially of the condition of the home, because there also can be situations where an appraiser might call out, say, some repairs. Now, from appraiser to appraiser, depending upon if it's a VA, FHA, or a conventional loan appraisal, they're going to have some different criteria that has to be met. However, the condition of the home can be greatly influenced by how clean it is and how decluttered it is. Remember, you only get one chance to set a first impression. Another thing that I think is important to note when talking about appraisals is the fact that FHA and VA loans actually have appraisals that attach to the property for a period of time. So let's take for an example. If you were to have an appraiser come out for an FHA buyer and it, say, came in low, you couldn't come to terms, so you end up releasing the contract. Well, what's going to happen next? You're going to go back out on the market. If you have another buyer come through the door and they write an FHA offer, that appraisal will stay with the property. Now, it does drop off after a certain period of time. It's just something that you have to keep in mind, especially whenever you're trying to come to a decision as to whether or not you feel like the house appraised for what it's truly worth. If you live in a neighborhood, the likelihood that they will pick comps from within that neighborhood is very high. There might be some extreme circumstances that would cause them to go outside of it, but for the most part, your neighborhood's where they're going to look. They're also typically only going to go back about 6 months. Now, an appraiser can go out further if they feel like the comps that they are finding are not sufficient for what they're doing. But by and large, most of your comps are going to have closed in the last 6 months. They're also going to look to make sure the features, they don't want to adjust too much in one direction or another. So if yours has a pool, they're probably going to try to find homes that also has a pool. If yours has 4 bedrooms, they're going to lean more towards finding 4 bedrooms versus 3 bedrooms. You also have to keep in mind that from appraiser to appraiser, sometimes there can be a variance with square footage. I had a house and the sellers had built on the screened porch. They had screened it in and actually made it to where it was indoor living space. They put a mini split out there. They did put carpet on the floors, and the brick exterior that was there, they painted. So the appraiser before, I had the buyer on this particular one, the appraiser before, when they had bought the house, counted that square footage towards the home. However, the appraiser for whenever we were under contract and I had the buyer in that particular scenario, they did not count that square footage, primarily because that outside space had a mini split to heat and cool it, And the whole rest of the home for the gross living square footage had central heat and air. So you just never know. There really can be a lot of variance from appraiser to appraiser. When I am working to help you sell the home, I will do everything that I can to help you get as much value out of the home as you possibly can. I will advise you and I will give you the best guidance that I can to help you in selling your home. Time and time again, I've been able to help sellers get what they think that their home is worth. I would love the opportunity to be able to help you with buying or selling if you're in that Tulsa metro area. I would love to have that opportunity. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.